If you've ever felt drawn to the rich mythology of the Norse, you may have come across terms like Asatru, Norse pagan, and heathen. Though they may seem interchangeable, there are notable differences between these three spiritual paths. Let's explore what Asatru, Norse paganism, and heathenry truly mean, and how they differ from each other. Let's start with Asatru. Asatru is a modern religion that connects people to the Old Norse gods. The word itself means belief in the Aesir, which refers to a group of ancient Norse gods, including Odin, Thor, and Freya. This belief was brought back to life in the 1970s in Iceland by a movement that wanted to revive the old pre-Christian traditions of Northern Europe. The Asatru make sacrificial offerings to honor the gods, spirits, or ancestors, a practice known as blots. These can involve offerings of food, drink, or symbolic items and are typically held outdoors or in communal spaces. Another common ritual is the sumbal, a ceremonial toast where participants share drinks, tell stories, and make vows or declarations. Historically, Asatru draws from the practices recorded in the Eddas and Sagas, which were written in medieval Iceland but preserve much older traditions. The modern revival aimed to piece together these ancient customs and adapt them for today's world. As this article states, although the Asatru Association has no doctrine as such, it does promote virtuous behavior. It's about being honest, upright, and tolerant. Respect for nature is also important. You have to make sure you live in harmony with nature. Now, don't confuse this with the group known as Asatru Folk Assembly. The AFA is a white nationalist group known for its exclusionary practices and beliefs. Many followers of Asatru and other Norse paths strongly oppose the AFA and emphasize values of tolerance, community, and respect for all people. Norse paganism is the ancient Norse religion. While it has recently risen in popularity, it's a broad term and a practice that doesn't have a specific date of origin. Its recent popularity emerged as people began exploring and reconnecting with their Northern European heritage and spirituality, drawing from the same mythological sources as Asatru, but with more flexibility. Norse pagans generally honor or worship the Norse gods, but they do so in a way that can be more flexible and personal. They tend not to adhere strictly to historical practices or specific rituals from the Old Norse traditions. Instead, they follow a revivalist approach, incorporating elements of Norse mythology into modern, individualized forms of spiritual practice. Norse pagans might take part in seasonal celebrations, meditative practices, or personal rituals that honor the gods in a way that's meaningful to them. These can be as simple as lighting candles, offering prayers, or building personal altars at home. Unlike Asatru, Norse pagan practices can be more eclectic, blending old and new elements. Now, let's talk about the word heathen. This one is a bit more complex. Historically, heathen was used by Christians in medieval Europe to describe anyone who wasn't Christian. Even today, it carries a negative connotation. But today, it's been reclaimed by people who follow Germanic pagan paths. There's some confusion about the difference between heathenry and Asatru. As this Redditor says, the two terms are used pretty much interchangeably, though Asatru is sometimes used to refer to the Norse side of things, and heathenry used as an umbrella term for Germanic paganism as a whole. And they're pretty much correct. All types of Norse paganism can fall under heathenry, as it's an umbrella term with practices rooted in Germanic paganism as a whole. Modern heathenry grew out of the wider neo-pagan movement in the mid-20th century. Heathens place a strong emphasis on ancestor veneration rather than gods and goddesses. They also subscribe to the philosophy of reciprocity, called the gifting cycle. It is a way to build and maintain relationships through ongoing acts of giving and receiving. Another important element of heathenry is the Huth cult, which emphasizes domestic practices. The Huth represents the spiritual center of the home or family. Practitioners may conduct rituals and offerings at home, honoring family ancestors, household spirits, and the gods. The Huth cult is often called the most important practice of modern heathenry. So, how do these spiritual paths differ? Well, Asatru is more structured and focused on trying to recreate historical practices as accurately as possible. It's an organized religion with specific rituals and ethical guidelines. Norse pagan, on the other hand, is a broader term that can mean anything from formal worship to casual spiritual practices involving the Norse gods. It's more individualistic and can include personal interpretations. Heathenry can refer to anyone practicing Germanic or Norse paganism, but as a specific practice, it emphasizes community, respect for nature, and honoring one's ancestors. In the end, whether someone identifies as Asatru, Norse pagan, or heathen, they're all part of a shared effort to connect with the old ways. Each term has its own meaning, but they all represent paths that honor the Norse gods and ancient traditions in one way or another. What do you think? What differences do you find between these three paths? Let us know in the comments below. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like it, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more content like this. Thanks for watching.